In this video, I will demonstrate the operation of the JK flip-flop. The operation of the JK flip-flop. Okay, I will now go through step by step the operation of the JK flip-flop. As it stands right now, this JK flip-flop is in the reset mode, reset state. The K is at a 1, therefore the NOT Q is at a 1. Okay? Right. We have an enable here that must be at a 1 to enable the operation. And this input here, we're going to simulate the clock. Okay? Good. So let's set the flip-flop. So to set the JK flip-flop, the J has to be at a 1 and the K has to be at a 0. Okay? But note, nothing happens yet until the clock is switched on. Okay? So the clock goes on and the output changes to a 1. So the flip-flop is now set. All right, let's try resetting the flip-flop. So we put a 0 on the J and a 1 on the K. Again, nothing happens until we go to the clock, switch off the clock, and back on the clock. And you see a 1 now comes at the NOT Q, so the flip-flop is now reset. All right, now let's see the special feature of the JK flip-flop when both inputs are 1. When both inputs are 1, the flip-flop will toggle, that is, the Q and the NOT Q will change states. It will change state on every clock pulse. Okay, so let's do it. So we have 1s in, so the flip-flop is primed to toggle. So let's clock off. Watch it now. When clock goes on, the output changes. You see, the NOT Q became a 1. Sorry, the Q became a 1 and the NOT Q became a 0. Let's clock again. Clock off, nothing happens, but clock on, the NOT Q becomes a 1. Note that the flip-flop is toggling on the positive transition of the clock. This is a positive edge-triggered flip-flop. So let's try again. Let's switch off the clock, off, nothing happens, but switch on, it toggles. Keep an eye on the Q and the NOT Q. Switch off the clock, switch on the clock, it toggles. All right? Now, what happens if the inputs are at 0? Are all 0? Watch it. Clock off, clock on. Clock off, clock on. Note that nothing happens. The flip-flop is latched because the inputs are at 0. So 0 on the J and a 0 on the K latches the flip-flop in the state it was in previously. All right, so let's run through quickly again. So let's say we want to set this flip-flop. We put the J at a 1 and we do the transition clock. Clock off, clock on, and the output changes to a 1. We want to reset the flip-flop. J is 0, K is 1. Let's do transition, clock off, clock on, it changes. All right, we want to toggle the flip-flop. You set the J and the K at a 1. Watch the output, the Q and the NOT Q. Clock off, clock on, input change. Clock off, now the clock on, input changes. Clock off, nothing happens. Clock on, input changes. So this is a complete operation of the JK flip-flop. One thing I forgot. If we make the enable at a 0, then nothing happens. Although the clock will be changing, nothing happens. So you have the enable has to be at a 1 to allow for some sort of action for any action on the flip-flop. So here again, this is a complete demonstration of the operation of a JK flip-flop.